This is I-595, and we're coming up on a very busy and important interchange. In fact, this is where I-595 meets with I-95. And right here is where Steelers backup quarterback Dwayne Haskins was hit and killed by a dump truck. You're probably asking yourself the big question. Why is Dwayne Haskins crossing this road at 6 o'clock in the morning? And there's a lot of conspiracy out there, and frankly, a lot of people are just making things up. So today, we're going to get into what exactly happened with Dwayne Haskins. Why was he crossing this road at 6 o'clock in the morning? It all started with the breaking news that something had happened on 595.
Okay, and we do want to get you to breaking news right now. This is out of Fort Lauderdale. Right now, you're looking at the traffic camera on 595 westbound. This is between 95 north and south. Investigators are on the scene working a fatal crash. They say the crash involves a dump truck and a pedestrian.
That pedestrian was indeed Dwayne Haskins, the NFL player. Look up there. What do you see? Those are the tails of commercial aircraft. That's actually Fort Lauderdale International Airport. That's going to come into play in just a moment. This is the dump truck that ran into Dwayne Haskins, killing him. He died right here on the scene, and it wasn't until a while later that the dump truck was towed away. The driver of the dump truck did stay at the scene, and there was no signs or reports that he was intoxicated or under the influence of any sort of drugs. In short, he did the right thing, and it seems like somebody just popped out in front of him. The first we heard anything was happening was that there was an incident westbound on I-595 at I-95, and they were closing off some lanes. But then Florida Highway Patrol let go of some actual information. They released their report. They said the identity of the 24-year-old male is Dwayne Haskins Jr., born in 1997. Then they got specific. NFL American football quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mr. Haskins was walking on a limited access facility. That's just another word for highway. It's nothing special. It just means he was crossing the highway for unknown reasons, you'll see it says. He was attempting to cross the westbound lanes of Interstate 595 when there was oncoming traffic. Unfortunately, he collided with an oncoming dump truck. Mr. Haskins was pronounced dead on the scene. Some of those initial details are very helpful to us, right? We know that Haskins was trying to cross I-595, and we know that it was near the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in Broward County. But this is very important. This all went down at 6:30 a.m. It was reported shortly after 6:30 a.m., and time is everything as we try to figure out what happened to Dwayne Haskins. Chris Stanley is so far the most important person in this story. You see, he says he saw the quarterback crossing I-595, and he was worried immediately after he saw him.
He said this individual is going to have a major accident if you don't get to him.
Chris Stanley spoke to us via phone. He just dropped off his daughter at Fort Lauderdale International Airport when he said he noticed a man walking on the westbound lanes of 595 moments before the crash.
He was about halfway to quarter way in the right lane already onto the highway, and I was already concerned that somebody's going to strike him right there at that moment.
So he was halfway to a quarter way across the highway when this witness saw him. Now, this is very important.
Stanley says after seeing the man, he called 911. A timestamp on his phone shows he made the call at 6:31. 6 minutes before the crash.
There you go. So you can see it right there on his phone that he dialed 911 at 6:31 a.m. He dialed 911 at 6:31 when he saw Dwayne Haskins crossing the road. So again, he said he was about halfway to a quarter way in the right lane, already onto the highway, and I was already concerned somebody was going to strike him right there at that moment. Stanley said he was so concerned he dialed 911, and he dialed it at 6:31. 6 minutes. That's important. 6 minutes before Florida Highway Patrol officials said the crash was reported at 6:37. Now, maybe there's a minute or two in there when the dump truck driver or somebody else was dialing 911. But after this guy is hit, after Pittsburgh Steelers QB Dwayne Haskins is hit, it's going to be very quick that 911 is called. 6 minutes. This leads me to believe he was out there in this traffic for a while. What's he doing crossing the highway and spending multiple minutes out there in traffic? There were theories everywhere. completely made up ones, conspiracies that thousands of people saw on YouTube.
The details were with Dwayne Haskins because, of course, when this happened, there are a lot of questions and stuff, and then we finally have answers now.
Good, we have answers.
Apparently, at 6:45 in the morning, Dwayne Haskins' car ran out of gas. It was a rental car.
All right, so Dwayne Haskins' rental car ran out of gas after he was already dead. He had already been in the accident. He had already been hit by a dump truck. But a matter of minutes later, he ran out of gas in his rental car. There was no car found tied to Dwayne Haskins at the scene that's been reported. There was no details about him having a rental car. We only knew a few things, and we're going to get into those things in a second. But these unverified stories, these things that people honestly were just making up, started spreading around. Early unverified reports suggest Dwayne Haskins was driving to the airport to return to Pittsburgh when his car ran out of gas. There's no mention as to why he didn't use his cell phone to call roadside assistance, but he must have left his car for help. We just think this, so it is. There were other, even dumber conspiracy theories.
I honestly believe that maybe he may have lost something in his car. According to Lieutenant Miranda from Florida Police Department, said that he was crossing the road on the way back to Florida. Headed back to Pittsburgh. And when you're traveling, man, sometimes you got your luggage on your seat. You may have your wallet, you may have your watch or whatever. And it's early in the morning. This was 6:30 in the morning, by the way. 6:30 in the morning. Maybe you want to let the window down. You know what I mean? Because you're still halfway awake. Let the window down. You might want to get the air on you. And sometimes things happen where your wallet may fly out the window. Possibly your jewelry.
Yeah, so your watch or your wallet just flies out the window. And that's what happened to Dwayne Haskins. Again, his car wasn't found at the scene. There was no sign of a rental at the scene. There was no sign that he was out there looking for a wallet, but people just make things up. This is what we actually do know. Now, if we're to trust WPLG Local 10 in Miami, this is where they say they're reporting that Dwayne Haskins was actually going.
Haskins was heading to the airport to catch a flight back to Pittsburgh when this happened.
All right, he was heading to the airport to catch a flight back to Pittsburgh when this happens. So why was he out on this highway? This stretch of road right here. Why was Dwayne Haskins crossing this very busy highway? Trust me, I'm from South Florida. People do not cross this highway. It's like a deadly game of Frogger. Why is he crossing this highway at 6 o'clock in the morning? Well, what's on the other side of the highway? Fort Lauderdale International Airport is on the other side of the highway. This is the airport that he very likely was headed to, or at least attempting to go to, by crossing I-595. And this is indeed a very, very busy stretch of road. But if we would have got across the westbound lanes and then, of course, the eastbound lanes down here, he would have been at the airport. And it's very possible that's where he was heading, because we see that there was a flight on April 9th, this is the morning that he died, scheduled for 8:20, actually took off at 8:30 in the morning, which would line up with the timeline. And that would be a flight from Hollywood International Airport in Fort Lauderdale to Pittsburgh International Airport, where the news reports say that Dwayne Haskins was headed. Now, is that what really happened here? Was he staying with somebody in this area? Was he possibly even staying at a hotel or something in the area? And then he didn't have a vehicle to get him to the airport, so he was trying to walk across or make his way at 6 o'clock in the morning across 595? Possibly. That might be the case. But what's with those missing minutes between the 911 call at 6:31 a.m. and the report of the crash at 6:37? Was he just running around on the highway? That's a confusing piece of information. Otherwise, it looks pretty clear that Dwayne Haskins was headed for an early morning route to the airport. What do you think about this? Let me know. It all went down right here. Why do you think Dwayne Haskins was out crossing this highway at 6 o'clock in the morning? What do you think happened in this situation? And do you think some of the reporting of this so far, especially some of the online reporting, has been as bad as I do? Let me know in the comments below. I know you will. You always do. Facebook.com/thenewsjunkie. Hit that follow button. YouTube.com/thenewsjunkie. Hit subscribe for video updates just like this. You can support me below this post, either on Facebook or on YouTube. I appreciate the comments as always, and we'll talk to you again real soon.